and he began playing a rhythmic feel on the piano and said, "I really like this feel, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He told a story about his mother and the dog. Maybe everybody knows this.
When I was an 11-year-old kid, this dog was barking at us, right? She goes, "A dog that barks at us may not bark at somebody else because he picks vibrations up from us." But 11 years later, I said to myself, dogs barking at people because they pick up vibrations. And I sat at the piano and went, vibrations, vibrations, fooled around. Finally, I got a little bump, 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 a beat. Mike Love came over to my house and he goes, "How's this?" "I'm picking up vibration. She's giving me the excitation." And I said, "That sounds great."
Took a long, long time to do that song.
There were 18 sessions for Good Vibration.
Long.
In 5 different studios.
It's like, oh, here we go again.
It cost us $16,000 to do.
I had not a clue.
Over a period of about 2 months.
Some days we would come in and we would play for 3, 4, 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. Brian would say, "Thank you, gentlemen," and they would be gone.
When he asked me to keep doing this part over and over again, all I was doing was holding a low note. I think it was a low B flat, and it was on the organ, on the Hammond B3. And it was for him to have the basis for that unbelievable modern chord that they do. And it's just amazing because I kept doing it over and over. I said, what chord is he going to be putting against this thing? I'm playing one note, so I didn't know the chord. I knew it was the bottom part of it. And we kept doing it over and over and over. And I had worked all that morning and the night before. I can't remember for who we were working on another project, I think with Jack Nitschke and somebody. And I was a little tired when I got there, and now we kept going on hour after hour over this one thing. So this is the God's honest truth. At one point, I got a pillow, and I put it on the low B flat that I just kept holding, and he kept stopping and starting, going back and forth, and I laid down, and I actually took a nap for 15 minutes. I was fast asleep while playing the note with my head. It was just like, oh, a low decibel, And then finally they said, "I think we got it," Oh, great. I said, thank God, let's get to some action here.
You start off with a blank piece of paper and then wait for Brian to come around. And many times you'd leave the room for a couple hours. And when the session start? 5? How long you been in the studio? Haven't made it yet, but we're waiting. And we'll get there.
And we continued. Every time we'd go in, sometimes we'd work for hours and hours and hours just to get the feel of this. And we never knew what the heck we were doing.
On Good Vibrations, we would go from one studio to another because they had the instruments that I needed at those studios. So we'd go to the studio, use the piano, "Thanks guys, we're done." Take the tapes over to RCA, put the cello on, get the theremin on, take the tapes over, get the bass over at Western, the bass sound I like, and then put the tambourine on at CBS, and you've got Good Vibration.
How did the cello happen?
Actually, here's what happened. We got to CBS, and Carl said, "You know what sounds good on this is the cello." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, the cello, I haven't placed him on a cello." And all of a sudden, I got this jiggly, 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 jiggly idea for him, and he put it on tape, and it glued the record. It put the record on the map. It was like, perfect.
Brian wasn't afraid to try anything. If there was a sound that he wanted, whether he pick up a stick and hit a string with it, or have me play the inside of the piano, I thought that one of the most brilliant ideas on a rock and roll record ever was a theremin. Who did that? No one.
That eerie sounding theremin. Whew.
Had you ever heard one before?
Yeah, I had. My mom and dad knew. I had a friend who had a theremin where you put your hand near this bulb, and if you pull your hand away, the sound gets higher. You push your hand down toward the bowl, it gets lower. And so you go like that.
Actually, I didn't know a theremin player was coming in, and I said, uh-oh.
Theremin was played by a guy named Paul Tanner. I said, try. And it worked. It worked.
My God, it was just a piece of one of the great moments of rock and roll.
And with the key changes, with the time changes, it was like a masterpiece. It was like a symphony.